Thanks for watching Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. One of the hardest transitions any military member can make is getting out of the service. Going to war, coming back home, that can be a breeze compared to the unknowns of getting out of the service and not knowing what's going to come next, of how to live, how to adult, and how to take care of your family outside of the service. Fortunately, there are organizations to help you and your family out. Fortunately, Charlotte has an amazing organization called Veterans Bridge Home. Steve Cole is joining us this morning. And Steve, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Absolutely. Talk to us about.
Yeah, Veterans Bridge Home was started in 2011 by a couple here in Charlotte who were really taking care of just one veteran who needed their help. He and his wife and young family moved to Charlotte, sort of picked it out on a map. He had been seriously injured in Afghanistan and needed to recover, but was able to leave Walter Reed. They weren't from Charlotte. And so Tommy and Patty Norman said, why don't you come live with us? We'll help you find a job. We'll help you continue your recovery. We'll help you get the things you need to be successful here in Charlotte, like friends. So people that were their age. So that one family became another family, became a total of 4, all out of the Norman's home, which really there's not a lot of scale in that.
Right.
So they went to the city and said, we've got an issue of veterans are leaving the service and there's nothing for them. There's a bunch of individual things for them, but there's not one organization that's thinking about them as a series of needs to help them navigate transition.
Right. And as we're getting out, there are just so many questions and so many different variables. Charlotte, granted, yes, we've got an Air National Guard here in town. We've got an Army Reserve, Army National Guard, Navy, and Marine Reserve. People don't see them. They're kind of off to the corner. So it's not really a military town, but there is a huge veteran population here in Charlotte. Just tell me some of the not the issues, but some of the things that people come up to you all and say, hey, what can you all help me with?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's different. So what success looks like for you and your family is going to be different for me and my family. So what Charlotte has is a ton of great resources that do good things. And so when we talk to a veteran and say, what are you looking for? A lot of times they'll come and they'll present with something. I need a job. I need a place to live. I need, friends. And then we'll ask them refining questions. So, what is, okay, so you don't have a safe place to live. Well, have you connected to the VA for disability benefits? Do you have health care through the VA?
One thing I have noticed on your all's Facebook page and some other social media sites, you all do early morning workouts.
Yeah.
Talk about just that camaraderie for people who are getting out and that are looking for that scheduled, time together with their brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. It's pretty universal. The military, we think about it, if you haven't served, you think about the military as this monolithic thing, but then, each branch does something different. But physical fitness is something that is pretty common to all of them. So this morning, 6 o'clock at Veterans Park, we don't, unlike our military brothers and sisters, if it's raining, we are not training anymore as veterans, but we get out there and work out together. And for some people, it's just a starter thing. It's like, I don't know anybody. I'm going to start here.
Right.
And then they're going to find their fitness routine somewhere else. But, there's a core group of about 6 of us that are always there in case, a veteran, who's looking for their next thing shows up.
Challenge accepted. See you soon on that. So other than just going there and having, some workout time and just bonding with people who come from the same kind of backgrounds, talk to me about some of the stories that where people come in, kind of the success stories of your organization.
Absolutely. One is interesting. I'll make it a workout story. So young veteran, truth in advertising. I'm 53. This guy is like 26, has no business. He's getting less in shape by coming to our workout, but hey, he's there and he shows up and he works out with us. And, he pulls me aside afterwards and he says, hey, I moved here. I was going to start at CPCC. Got a girlfriend here, and my plan was to go from CPCC to UNCC and become a civil engineer. I said, that's great. He's like, well, my girlfriend just dumped me, and I don't know anybody, and I decided to come to this workout. He's like, well, I'm interested in civil engineering. I said, well, at Crowder Construction has this annual fish fry. I was like, well, the Crowder Construction fish fry, they're a heavy civil organization. They got a fish fry tonight. Why don't you come with me? We'll go. I'll introduce you to some of the folks over there. And so he knows nobody, showed up to a workout. We take him there, ends up getting an internship there.
Oh, wow.
Completes his, he starts going to the CPCC and is on his way to achieving the goals that he set for himself.
Okay, he hopefully bought a lottery ticket that evening.
Right.
That's insane. When we're down on our butts, and we have those really, really hard days, especially in that transition of what do I do next? And the world seems overwhelming. Even just that little tiny step to, either maybe call your all's organization or just maybe go to the VA. It's reassuring to hear something like that as quick as just to go to a workout. And then you have that nonstop, here, we're going to go ahead and introduce you to this, to this company.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I mean, most veterans, I think, if you say, hey, I need something, we're all going to say, well, how can I help? And we all have networks, but the hardest step is for that individual veteran to say, I need something.
Right.
Because, for the most part, we left high school, we left college, and we went right to work. And the military takes care of you in a lot of different ways. And so, you've got a squad leader, a platoon sergeant, or platoon leader, company commander, first sergeant to take care of your needs. That doesn't exist outside in Charlotte.
For Charlotte Bridge Home, what is the main thing that people are asking, or either whether it be assistance or questions, whatever the case is for
top need, and it has been since 2018, since I started there, is housing. I follow closely behind by employment.
And what's in order to get help, what do you need to do when you go there?
Yeah, go to Veterans Bridge, www.veteransbridgehome.org, and then there's a request assistance button. Fill out the information, and one of our teammates will call that person back. And then again, they just find out what else do you need? What haven't you told me that you might not even know that exists? And then we together co-create a plan of like, okay, so you need these following things. Let me connect you to the best organizations in our community to serve those needs.
Perfect. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break, but after we come back, we're going to hear some fantastic stories about Steve that he doesn't know I already Googled. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. Today I've got Steve Cole from Charlotte Bridge Home. See, I almost said the other one, but there's only one. Your background, it's fascinating considering we actually went to the same school, just not at the same time. You're an original Charlotte, veteran, but you were born here, raised here, but you also are a similar Denfos trained killer, as we call each other.
That's right. Yeah. So grew up here in Charlotte, born, raised here, left for college and served in the military. It ended up being 20 years. Never thought I would do 20 years. Never thought I would come back to Charlotte, frankly. But had an opportunity. It was an armor officer first. Had a chance to go to grad school and then teach at the military academy in the history department. And then went to Defense Information School at Fort Meade, Maryland.
And the part that you've left out, there was a couple movies that you worked with or on.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
Sure. When people say thank you for my service, I'm like, dude, let me just tell you what I did before you go too far overboard, right? Because I had everything I ever asked for in the Army, I had a chance to do. So after Denfos, I ended up going to the Old Guard. So I was at the Army's Honor Guard in Arlington, which was an incredible opportunity. From there, got an all expense round trip to Afghanistan. Served on the NATO staff in Kabul, which, as a young public relations officer in the Army was like a dog year in terms of like knowing the job and the craft, and then got to serve in what the Army calls training with industry. So I went to a civilian public relations firm in DC, wore a suit for a year, and then picked up best practices out of the corporate world to bring to corporate Army. And this is what you were talking about is I spent 3 years in Los Angeles as the liaison to the motion picture and television industry in West LA, making movies, television shows, documentaries, docuseries.
And you've left all of that out until right now. So you can mention Superman if you can.
Yes. So we, Man of Steel, Godzilla. We did Lone Survivor when I was there. Fury was one that we didn't totally support. They'd never let us read the script, but we did get Brad Pitt to meet some tankers at Fort Irwin. So, what else did we do? A movie called Spare Parts, which is actually a pretty good army movie.
Right.
And Army Wives. There were all kinds of stuff that we did.
I have so many Hollywood questions, especially with the Fort Irwin. I mean, I've been there twice on 2 different 2-week rotations with the North Carolina Army Guard. And, for an Air Force guy, it kind of opens up your eyes of like, wow, we really have it good here, But this is
absolutely.
just to basically get surrounded in every direction by the desert and to see what the actual training regimen is. Talk to me about what that was like for maybe some of those stars to go through.
Yeah. So this is kind of a funny story about Fort Irwin. So there was a television show, a Fox television show sitcom that was called Enlisted. It never made a full run.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, it was actually, we never, again, not supported, but we were like, look, you're going to make this thing anyway, so let's go to Fort Irwin.
Right.
So I'm riding in a van, it's a couple hours from Los Angeles out to Fort Irwin. And no kidding, it's like snowing, which, it's the Mojave Desert, but it was a weird day of snow in the wintertime in the Mojave Desert. And no one is at the front gate. So we're kind of looking around like, well, I guess we'll just keep going. And then,
because they have 2 or 3 gates,
yes,
you have to go through.
Yes,
I remember.
So they slammed the second gate down, and dudes are coming out carrying. I'm in the uniform, right? I'm with a bunch of Hollywood types, but there's prop masters, set designers, the writers, and I'm like, I'm taking writers to learn about the military, and episode 1 is writing itself as we're getting we got hauled down to the MP station because we ran the gate. Fortunately, one of the people in the van took a picture of the snow, and there was nobody at the gate. We're like, I don't know. You said you were there. Well, here's a picture, which we probably shouldn't have taken a picture of the gate.
Right.
But we'll just leave that aside. But nobody was here. Oh,
right.
Yeah, well, you can go now. I mean, it was crazy. But anyway, it was kind of a funny show. But I was like, look, the Army doesn't put all of our non-deployable Dud Pit people into one unit in some place, right? Mm-hmm. That was the premise of the show. But it was, it actually wasn't a terrible show.
I do remember the commercials and thinking, wow, the uniforms are really bad. And so is the dress and appearance or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's it.
You don't have to get it wrong.
Right.
But it's a bonus of not having the Army help you as you get to you'll mess it up.
You'll see some veterans kind of not call it out, but
yeah, I mean, nothing throws you off. And I'm sure if you're a doctor or a fireman or whatever, it probably throws you off when you see stuff in your situational dramas too, like that. But,
right. Fascinating. So any other quick Hollywood stories?
What else? So another Irwin story. So when Shia LaBeouf and Brad Pitt and the crew from David Ayers from Fury go out to Fort Irwin to see what it's like, they met with some tankers. They actually talked to guys who had been in combat on a tank and learned about what that was like for them. Brad Pitt was there the night before. Nobody really knew that they were coming. I didn't tell anybody. The public affairs office, but I'm like, this isn't a USO junket. Right. This is work.
We're work.
And so, Fort Irwin at night, the sidewalks get rolled up. There's nothing happening there at night. And so, he's going to buy a beer at the shopette, and the young woman behind the cash register says, "Can I see your ID?" And he was like,
I know where this is going.
He was like, is it because you don't think I'm old enough or you don't know who I am? And she said, yes, right. She's totally starstruck. Brad Pitt at the Class 6 at Fort Irwin. So
that is hilarious. That's great. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about Veterans Day coming up and what Charlotte Bridge Home is going to be doing. We'll be right back. Hi, well, thanks for watching Stars of Service. I'm Brian Christensen. It's called Veterans Bridge Home. I said Charlotte Bridge Home a couple of times. I couldn't get rid of the memory. I apologize. Sorry about that.
It's all right. It happens. It happens.
You mentioned when someone might say, thank you for your service. Veterans Day is right around the corner.
Sure.
What do you think of? What do you say when someone just says, that simple phrase.
It's nice, right? I mean, because our Vietnam veteran brothers and sisters didn't get that, right? They would die for a thank you for your service. They still appreciate when you see them. So if you're running across somebody in a store and they're wearing a Vietnam hat, I think it's totally appropriate any time of year to say thank you for your service. For me, it is a little awkward because I got to do a thing that I wanted to do.
Right.
I grew up playing Army in my backyard here in Charlotte, and then I got to do it for 20 years and they paid me. So, all these cool things that I got to do were because of my service. So I think what I've often posted on social media is, sure, thank me for my service, but also don't discourage young people from considering military service.
Right. It's funny. Last night I was at the Charlotte FC game, and I've only been to a couple of those, and I'm sure you've been to, especially where they start doing the national anthem or they'll sing the first line.
Best thing in sports.
It is absolutely. I couldn't actually say the words out loud because I felt like I was literally going to just like sob. I mean, because it's such a proud thing to be a part of, I guess. You're being surrounded 360 by people singing, not just the artist, not just the singer, or whatever else. That was hitting me left and right last night, even during the game, of how powerful that truly is, what it means and everything. And I was actually thinking about, when someone says thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And I kind of think back to my Air Force style Forrest Gump type of 20-year career of craziness and just the opportunities. And I am so incredibly honored to have been able to have done that. So
I think Charlotte is a really patriotic place. I think the default setting for people in North Carolina and Charlotte in particular is I like the military. Like, I don't know why, but I like y'all, right? Like, that's kind of their and so it's a really great place. Here, especially in a veterans organization, like, you have them. It's, people are supporting us. They're ours to lose in a lot of ways because people do care about their military service members.
And with you guys, you all have these events that happen throughout the year and everything. Talk about the Veterans Day.
Carolina's Veterans Day Festival. It's going to be on November the 8th at Romare Bearden Park in Uptown. So participate in the Carolinas Freedom Foundation Parade. Column right onto MLK and then head down to Romare Bearden Park. We're going to do live music. We've got some awards that we're going to give out. We're going to have free food. We're going to have employee resource groups of military folks, veterans from companies are going to have an Olympics of sorts. So that'll be fun. And, just a way to bring the community and veterans together.
Right.
Veterans Day shouldn't be about you and me celebrating ourselves. It should be about our community saying, oh, wow, I didn't know that a veteran could be working at a television station. I didn't know a veteran could be working at one of the banks.
What are some of the previous years that you guys have done, whether it be ceremonies or just events?
We call it Veterans Prom season, like the beginning of November until about the 11th. There's a million things going on. Everybody's getting their Veterans Day thing on. And so for the longest time, we didn't do anything because we were like, well, we're everywhere. Like, we can't stop to do one thing.
Right.
And what we realized was, we are Veterans Bridge Home and we are the biggest veterans organization in the area. And so we probably should be doing something. And so bringing, people, services to veterans. We're bringing veterans from employee resource groups, and we're bringing their families out together, and then just the community in general, just to celebrate this day together. That's what it's really all about.
With Veterans Bridge Home and everything, a lot of people just, they'll come and like, hey, I need help. What can I, where can I get this or whatever else? How can people give?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, veteransbridgehome.org. There's a donate button there. Where does the money go? I think that's a fair question.
Right.
Most of what we do is navigating services for veterans and their families and making sure they stay successful. I think what attracted me to Veterans Bridge Home is we don't make out veterans to be victims of their service. I'm a better Steve Cole because I got to be in the Army. But leaving the military was hard, to your point at the beginning of this podcast. Like, I thought I grew up here. I did public relations in the Army. That's a thing outside of the military. And it was really, really hard. No one was waiting for me to give me a job.
Right.
42-year-old, never really had a job outside of working at the old South Park movie theater. So like it was it was hard. And so our day in, day out, the money stays here locally. We're a North Carolina, South Carolina organization, but we make sure that veterans and their families keep being successf's
I did see it in your title, Metrolina director or something like that. What are you basically just the Charlotte area, or where's
So to your point about Charlotte Bridge Home, so Charlotte Bridge Home was just sort of the
I said it again, didn't I?
No, you said it
Okay,
right.
good.
Was the Charlotte MSA, right? So the 14 counties that are contiguous to Mecklenburg County. So 150,000 veterans in that area and their families, additional to that 150,000. So that's what my team, we have a team of 11 folks, really focus on. We have teammates in Raleigh, we have teammates in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area, we have teammates in the Sandhills, and all the way down into Columbia now. So Metrolina, that's my team, but
Got it.
47 of us in Veterans Bridge Home at large.
Are you all going to be expanding?
I think I think we could. We've everywhere we've expanded is because someone has asked us to come there. So
Right.
if your community is looking for that support, either we'll find somebody who's already doing it and empower them to do it, or we'll assign a teammate over there.
Well, I have one ask of you
Sure.
is if you all have any other things coming up to let us know so we can help get the word out.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Brian.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been watching Stars of Service. Thank you very much for watching.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.